politician arrived at Heaven's Gate one day together. And St. Peter, after doing all the necessary formalities, took them in hand to show them where their quarters would be. And he took them to a small single room with a bed, a chair, and a table, and said this was for the clergyman. And the politician was a little worried about what might be in store for him. And he couldn't believe it then when St. Peter stopped in front of a beautiful mansion with lovely grounds, many servants, and told him that these would be his quarters. And he couldn't help but ask, he said, but wait, there's something wrong. How do I get this mansion while that good and holy man only gets a single room? And St. Peter said, you have to understand how things are up here. We got thousands and thousands of clergy. You're the first politician who ever made it.
Hey man, this is Tommy Chong, and right now you're listening to the Anthony Rogers Show.
Hey, this is Jordan Belfort, the real Wolf of Wall Street, and you're listening to the Anthony Rogers Show.
Hey, what's up guys? It's Sean Danielson from Smile Empty Soul, and you are listening to the Anthony Rogers Show.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens, it's Carol Baskin, and you are listening to the Anthony Rogers Show.
This is Shirley Phelps Roper with the Westboro Baptist Church, and you are listening to the Anthony Rogers Show.
What's up? It's Tom from Plain White Tees, hanging out on the Anthony Rogers Show.
What's up, everyone? This is Rain from Our Lady Peace, and you're listening to the Anthony Rogers Show.
I'm Baby No Money, and you're listening to the Anthony Rogers Show, the best podcast.
This is Agent Sebastian of the Carnarks, and you are listening to the Anthony Rogers Show.
Brian Vanderark from the Verb Pipe here, and you're listening to the Anthony Rogers Show.
All right, I'm gonna do a quick walkthrough of Arcade Monsters. Here we go.
Omaha steaks are guaranteed to be perfect every single time. Can your grocery store say that? Can anyone? If you think this confidence sounds good, wait until you taste it. Just a little grilling wisdom from Omaha Steaks. For a limited time, get $40 off your first order when you use code BESTSTEAKS at checkout. Visit omahasteaks.com today.
Here at Luxurious, we only use the best California pine trees around. Each woody oil and balm contains up to one whole tree. Did you know I hand-pick each and every pine cone myself and make it a point to find the older ones because, well, those are aged to perfection. Once the perfect tree is taken down and strategically stacked, it's on to phase 2. At this point, each pine is carefully cut into smaller and more manageable pieces. I mean, will you just look at that pile of select wood? From this stage, the BFS 9000 shreds the pines into an almost angel soft fibrous material as shown here.
Here at Luxurious, we use quality ingredients and the freshest pine cones.
Get luxurious, my friends.
Kent Masloskie is the bastard son of a biker and a church lady. He has had his comedy described as quirky, and for audiences that used to read books. Eric Moutsos is a believer, husband, father, author, speaker, podcaster, former police officer. Ricardo, Rico, Aviles is a native from Arecibo, Puerto Rico. Also known as the language ninja for working many human trafficking. He has served in the army, trains Brazilian jiu-jitsu, is one of the hosts of the Rico Podcast and a well-known Spanish translator and interpreter. You can find Ricardo in Missouri where he lives happily with his wife and kid.
Anthony Rogers is your best friend and favorite comedian in the entire universe. Check out his album doing stand-up comedy or YouTube special Sunburnt in Hawaii. Rogers is also the host of the show. And here's your host.
Welcome back to the best show in the universe. That was the longest intro, so if you're one of the 993 people watching cross-platform, sorry to waste 4 minutes of your valuable time. You know who's on the show? You saw the intro. You saw the flyer. You know who I am. Like, job's already been done. We're bringing everybody out right now. How you guys all doing?
Excellent. Good over here, man. Doing good.
Good to see you guys. We're going to start off by mansplaining the whole Hawaii thing, the Maui thing, with somebody that was actually there to start that off too. Like, Chris actually watched this happen. How you doing, brother? So,
yeah. Well.
So what did you experience more or less, man? Like, what did you? I thought you said. Oh, I thought you were on Maui.
Well, yeah, I was definitely on Maui, but I wasn't in the flames. Thank God. I was in Kihei. There's fires over there too, but while Lahaina was going up, I saw some videos. You know, I had some friends that worked over there, so I saw quite a bit of the carnage through media. But the real witnessing is the aftermath of what happens after the fire. I ended up moving out of there pretty quick. I came back, but yeah, it was nuts out there, man. You wouldn't think that. There's a fire, you're not, really thinking. If you're outside of it, you don't really picture it being that.
That's crazy. I know he was on Maui, guys. So that was so. What are your thoughts, Eric, on the whole situation, with the land grab and stuff? What do you think's going on there?
The whole thing stinks, man. It's like, to me, it's like a 9/11 2.0. Talking about the dumb cities. Is this on YouTube? So are there certain things that I can and can't say? My goodness, the censorship. I think, to me personally, it was a deep state operation from the beginning. I think that it was all planned out. This Governor Josh Green, to me, is unbelievably sick. The things he's saying. On Instagram, I did a reel about how I used his own words, saying that this appeared to be a bomb-like fire. I put that out on Instagram. It got picked up by even Charlie Kirk, and then they came and censored my videos because what the governor said. Richard, I think it's Basen, maybe he's the mayor. He's the mayor of Maui. In March of this year, they took the emergency fund budget, and this is online. It was an actual address from the mayor to the city of Maui, or to the county of Maui, that they're going to move their emergency fund budget from $3 million to $40 million. This is in March. There's some natives that are claiming that there's still several thousand people missing, mostly kids. So the whole thing stinks. I think I'm glad that you're still talking about it now, because I'm just afraid that this is just going to go away like every other sick thing that they're doing.
So yeah, that's a lot like 9/11. They took out insurance, they took out more money in a way before it all happened. It's nuts. It definitely seems like a land grab. I'm we're in a global situation. It definitely seems like that, man. What are the other guys' thoughts on that, man? What do you guys think about it?
I'll let Kent go first.
I don't think your mic's on.
While he's figuring that out, while he's figuring out the mic, another thing. While he's figuring this out, so another thing that I saw today actually was they're already building these containers, like the container homes. They've already got all these little container neighborhoods, not even the 40-foot containers, like the 20-foot containers, where they're going to be corralling all of the natives that don't have homes into these little tiny cities of container homes.
Yeah, no, that's bizarre, man. I like seeing that. It's crazy. It's
out of control. I interviewed a gal. I interviewed a gal on my Rumble channel, and she just told me how the weather was unbelievably bizarre. Like the weather that came in, another fact that people aren't talking about is that they said, even the governor, that it's hurricane. It was because of the hurricane, because of, global warming, that all of a sudden, the hurricane's about 500 to 600 miles on the other side of Oahu. Did you know this, Anthony?
No, it's great. No, I saw a lot of weather patterns seem like they're like they're weather weapons. It seemed like, I mean, because a lot of people were saying like, I don't. Like it seemed like definitely synthetic weather or something. Like I was hearing reports on that at least.
I'm just trying to say that yes, it was synthetic, but they're blaming it on the hurricane that was 600 miles away. Just to put that into perspective, that's like from the bottom of Florida, like all the way up into Georgia. Like and they're saying that was the wind that did it, but yet in Oahu there was no wind, and Oahu's in between the hurricane and Maui. So give me a break.
Yeah, I was just down there in March. It's like it's weird. Like I was just in that area that was burned down. I passed out.
Another thing is
comedy show on that area. Chris guy was like promoting Maui and stuff. He was down there. Let me know about him. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Another thing is the mishandling of the entire situation from the beginning, where there was zero communication. And let me say it like this: to the extent of what I read and I know, there was no communication between the different levels of the state agencies, right? Normally, when you have a situation like this, and Eric might know a little more about this, is that you always want to communicate between everybody. So that way, if I don't cover a gap, this person can cover that gap, and then this person goes here. But it seems almost either negligent or intentional, which either way would be intentional. But then at the same time, now everybody's coming forth to say, well, this happened and we did this and we did that. And you can tell when it's a clusterfuck, like Eric said, it's like we're blaming this that was X amount of fucking miles over there, but yet they never sat down and really, I believe they don't even have like a proper body count yet, if I'm not mistaken.
Not at all. They're saying that there's literally thousands of people gone.
Yeah.
Including children, which is weird because you know how you see those aerial views of all of the debris and all the burnt everything?
Yeah.
Except school buses. Like I saw one video that all the school buses are still there. So it's like, how are the school buses there? Like, where are the kids? Where are the kids?
Yeah, that's the scary part.
To me, it's like, I don't want to get into all the conspiracies, but I have seen photos of like underground stuff there in Maui, where there's underground by the mountains. I've seen, look, all I know is that the whole thing stinks to high hell, and we need to be asking questions and and they already had all the billions of dollars that were ready. We haven't even talked about I don't want to say certain words if we're on certain platforms because they will hit this stuff, but the D, the E, the W, can you guys get what I'm saying? The D, the E, the W, like the do. These things, the government has these weapons. They are real weapons, and it just happens to be that Maui is one of the states that have these DEW weapons, the directs, and then Vegas has them as well. But the fact that whole thing was scorched the way that it was, like the wind was coming in, like. The gal that I interviewed said that it was the strangest wind that you've ever seen. And people that are watching this thinking like this has got to be conspiracy. The government has the government has weapons that can pretty much do every single storm. This is decades old. This isn't like a 2023 conspiracy. This is decades old. They can create any type of storm that they want.
Yeah, and I think in certain Middle Eastern countries that I won't mention so we don't get flagged, they make it rain whenever the hell they want. So this isn't something that's like new or something that.
Have you guys been seeing the lightning storms all over America? These crazy lightning storms that are just going
not here in Missouri.
thunder, no thunder, just these If you go to my Instagram channel, if you go to my Instagram channel about 10 videos down, which is just at Eric Moutsos, you can see these wild lightning storms, and people started sending them to me from all over the place, where they're just literally about 3 to 5 lightning strike. I mean, every second, boom, 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 boom. No light, no thunder. And it's all on video. I've got the whole thing. I filmed for a long time, and it was the creepiest thing. And then after all of that, then all of the rain came in and flooded I-15 from Vegas to Cali. And then, the whole, what's that huge festival they do that was pretty much drowned?
Burning Man.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
it was a couple days after those crazy lightnings that Burning Man was completely underwater.
My question is why? Like, I understand like the whole not conspiracy, like that's a thing people are calling like the whole land grab thing, right? Like grabbing land and shit like that, which like I can understand that point, but I just can't like wrap my head around like what the fuck is your end game here, Like,
yeah,
what is it that like the end game is? Because I can understand like testing, like, and we'll go down the rabbit hole, right? Like, I can understand testing weapons, right? We've seen that. We've seen the British government do that back in the day when they nuked a couple Navy vessels and they kept them in the middle and they destroyed generations of people. I can't think of a logical.
Why? Yeah. Well,
yeah,
a couple theories out there is one, just tests. These are just tests, so they're just seeing what they can do. And then second is these tunnels underneath Vegas, because Vegas pretty much flooded. I don't know if you saw a lot of the water coming in through Vegas. Did you see that? Unbelievable. I mean, the streets, buses were just completely halfway up the buses, but there are miles and miles and miles of tunnels underneath Vegas where thousands and thousands of people live. I don't know if you knew that.
Springfield has Anthony, correct me if I'm wrong. Springfield has the underground tunnels, right?
Most cities do. That's what I'm trying to say. Most cities do. And so it's possible that they're trying to take out all those tunnels. Because there's a lot of dark stuff that happens under there.
Well, it's like in South Korea, they have those tunnels where they have like checkpoints in between. Go ahead, Anthony.
I don't know. It seems like a giant, just part of the giant globalist takeover, like depopulate, kill the poor. Just the same plan over and over again, just taking like people that don't have green pieces of paper, like anything they have, like taking their like land houses. I mean, it's continuous thing. Like depopulation with the vaccine, and like now Hawaii is on fire. Everywhere's on fire. It's 17 places, except there 8 rich people really hate us. Like basically, it's like what it seems like to me.
Well, and in my opinion, these people have wanted us gone for a long time, right? I mean, these are people that don't believe that there should be a certain amount of people on planet Earth. In my opinion, that's what this whole last 3 years was about. I know there's certain words we can't use, so I can just do it. It's like they send out this thing that starts with the letter V, and then they come out with the solution, right? The solution that goes into your arm. And then all of a sudden we have how many millions of people dying? How many times have you seen died suddenly all over the place? It's unbelievable.
Well, Eric, they're saying that it's because they're working out too hard, even though they're fat as fuck. I mean,
just regular people. I mean, I have one of my friends, 39 years old, great, in shape, he just had a heart attack. It's like, this doesn't happen, and nobody is connecting the dots.
It's the aliens, Eric. It's the aliens. That's going to be the next thing. It'll be like, it's the fucking aliens who did Maui. Watch. I'm going to laugh if I call that. I'm going to laugh if I call it out.
Aliens makes complete sense if you think about it, because any technology that you don't want to own, you can just say, no, that's alien technology. So, anything you've developed, you don't actually have to say that you did it. And it came from another galaxy. It's the perfect cover for literally anything you want to do.
Yeah, whatever, however you want to call it, it's evil. And I think we need to shine light on it. And I think people really need to wake up right now because in the next several years, things are going to drastically change in the United States of America. And we need to get prepared for what's coming.
True.
No, I definitely agree. I think that's been since 9/11. I think we've been slowly losing rights. Like every like micro tragedy since like 9/11, we've been like losing rights. Like the Patriot Act to like now, like now we're just like they don't even tell us why they do this anymore. It's like I get like notifications like, oh, you can't post this, but we can't show you what you posted, but you can't post it. And I'm just like, I have no idea what you're talking about. It's just like it's like nerd corporate like dictatorship. It's the most boring dictatorship of all time. It's like the gayest dictatorship I've ever been a part of. I feel like that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, we don't even have a fun dictatorship. It's
it's gonna get wild, man. That's I always try to tell people, like, you better get stocked up on some food. I got 4 kids. Like, do you have enough food for at least a year for your family? A year, so you don't have to bow down to some psychopathic government to get your bread from them. Like, get food and get water for at least a year. You can, and it's not that much money, man. It's really not. Like, we saw from what happened just with the little stupid toilet paper crisis that anything can go south really quick. And I think what's planned and what's coming, dude, it's going to make that look like child's play compared to what's coming.
That whole toilet paper thing is so frustrating to me because they did it and then they mocked us for it because it was like, toilet paper is like, first of all, it's modern, it's crazy modern, and it's not a thing that's easy to come by. You can't just go make some toilet paper. So people were like, well, if we're hunkering down, we got to get toilet paper. And then when people went for it, they pointed at them and they were like, oh, look at how crazy people are acting. It's like, this is a basic necessity. What are you talking about? Like, it's insane how they just flip that narrative like on a dime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Seems to be a common occurrence too. I mean, if you look at everything that we've done in the past, insert X amount of years, everything always seems to have like a ripple effect 10 years later. I think though there's a silver lining. I think part of the silver lining is a lot of people are waking up and a lot of people are starting to realize the bullshit in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, like, it's one of those things, like, coming from Puerto Rico, like, you get used to like going months without electricity and water and you prepare.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of know, like, sometimes you gotta use toilet paper Iraq style, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta like go and then you clean and you wipe,
Wow.
Not that I would go to those extreme measures, but like, I think people are, at least from what I see in my line of work, like, people are starting to realize a lot of bullshit and they're starting to catch it on early. And that's the thing, is if everybody just catches on to the bullshit early, it's like, yeah, shut the fuck up. Like,
Yeah.
But there's always people who are just going to line up, man.
Well, that's the problem. That's what the problem with our school system for the last several decades in America is that they don't even teach kids that they have God-given rights. They don't even know about their rights. They think the government literally controls them. And I try to tell people this as a former police officer, like, you have rights. The Constitution doesn't give you those rights. It's like, look, I got a little pocket Constitution right here. This guy doesn't give you your rights. This is supposed to tell the politicians what they can and can't do. Your rights come from God. Don't give them up. But when COVID hit, everybody just thought, they're in charge of us. They had no clue that they needed to exercise their rights. They had no clue.
Yeah, it was really scary.
It was. And so we started doing rallies, and I started doing these big rallies in Utah. Oh, the mainstream media hated me so bad because we did these huge rallies, dude, like right at the beginning of COVID, like right at the end of March, April, when it was happening. Like because Salt Lake City, they set up this snitch line where you could call the police if you weren't social distancing. And so because I used to work for Salt Lake City Police for 7 years. And that's a whole nother story how they took my badge. But they set up a snitch line so that if you're not social distancing, police will come to tell you to get away from each other. So I called the snitch line on myself and I recorded myself. And I said, hey, there's going to be a former policeman that's going to do a big rally. And they're like, well, he can't do that. I said, he's going to. And so we had like a couple thousand people show up right there. And I was very adamant. And so we started doing big rallies, gatherings to help save these small businesses. We'd get like hairstylists, we'd get people that have small businesses, and we'd just take over a park and we'd just shop. We'd help those businesses out. It was freaking awesome.
Nice.
Very cool.
It is awesome. Cool.
Yeah, and we made a
documentary
on it.
Oh, Frank, I'm here.
Anyway, we made a documentary on it. If you guys want to watch it, ericmoutsos.com. It's called Non-Essential, and it's how we pulled off the first concert in America during COVID. We had 6,000 people come. It was amazing.
It was almost non-existent in our area.
Dude, that's
like,
awesome.
People were still doing like their
Yeah,
own thing and shit, like
sure.
comedy shows. Yeah, comedy shows were happening and shit.
Hey, we're gonna freaking do it real fast, like anybody segues, but we're gonna freaking do the weather like real fast. You're on, man. If you want to do the
Hi, guys.
great weather report, we all learned a lot, I feel like, in that report.
It looked dark.
You need to take a page from Hispanic news, bro. just put like a hot porn star in there, like caliente, and you would get millions of views, bro. Like,
Hi, guys.
there he's back.
I'm doing great so far. It's breaking down.
He's back. He's back. The weather report. You weren't getting the weather, you're getting the weather still.
The weather is cold outside, but it's windy over my area right now. It was heavy rain earlier today.
What's it like? What's it like in New York City?
It was heavy rain in my
Do you hear me,
area
man?
earlier today in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Then it got to lots of thunderstorms, rain in central United States, including your area later on in the week.
Nice.
Nice, man. Where's everybody else from? Let's go like in Nebraska. I know somebody's from Nebraska. So we're like in Nebraska.
Lots of thunderstorms going to be in Nebraska.
Got a lot of thunderstorms.
later in week 2. Then it got some comfortable, breezy, cool air in New Mexico and southeastern United States, except for California. It's going to be really hot. Lots of showers in Seattle, Washington this weekend.
What's we got California too. I think Brian's from California. What's the weather like in California now?
Is that my cue to talk?
It's like my Yeah, no, I was trying to get Frankie to give the weather where you're at. I was catching up on everybody's weather.
Give me the weather.
I think the mic's not working. So. Yeah, I thought.
Then it got some hot weather
I thought this.
Canada. There's lots of thunderstorms in central Canada too. Lots of rain in the forecast on the west coast next week. Vancouver, Seattle, Portland, all these places.
Sorry, any hurricanes or earthquakes coming?
And it's going to bring hot weather in Los Angeles this week too. Then it's going to bring Santa Ana winds later on this year in Southern California, like Los Angeles and interior Southern California. It's going to bring a lot of fires there. And the El Nino is going to kick up in the high gear this fall and winter. That's going to bring a lot of brush fires in Australia.
You heard it here first. So Frankie down everybody with the weather. So appreciate that. I know you guys know what's going to happen in your areas. Watch out for all the fires and stuff. And thank you, Frankie. God bless you. Appreciate your weather report. All right. So the second half of the show, we're going to talk about sex trafficking. Ricardo gives a bunch of speeches on it, stuff like that. And then Brian wanted to start off with kind of a thought on that. And Eric's probably done like 50 podcasts on it and like is probably better person everybody on here. So we'll see. So Brian, what was your point? What were you trying to say like in the beginning about
Yeah, so this question's I just wanted to address this. I know Eric, you talk a lot about Mr. Ballard, Mr. Tim. And this is something I want to kind of address that I think a lot of people haven't dealt with in the sort of arena of this whole, Sound of Freedom movie and all these things pertaining to this. Just so you guys know, I'm aware of this kind of stuff. I deal with it. I pray for people. I'm like basically an exorcist.
Hurricane Lee has left my area this weekend. Hurricane Lee left my area.
So wait for him to finish talking. The what I'm trying to get at is I deal with this stuff all the time, quite often. All right. And I deal with people that have gone through this type of experience of human trafficking and these type of things that go on.
And a year ago this week, Hurricane Fiona just hit City, Nova Scotia. Extreme meteorologist and storm chaser Aaron J. Jackass met me in person. And there's a video footage from Aaron J. Jackass.
I'll wait till you're good.
This is for the storm chaser Aaron J. Jack. He met me in person last year.
Go ahead, Brian. What was your thing? I got lost a little bit there. You deal with a lot of people who've been in trafficked or been victims or survivors. I believe that's the last thing I heard.
Yeah, I pray for people and I cast demons out. And
hey guys, did you get the link to Anthony? Did you get the link for me meeting Aaron J. Jack last year?
I'll wait till he's done with his weather report, and then I'll continue talking so he can have the stage for a moment there. We'll talk serious when he stops.
Yeah,
when he's done with his weather.
And it's going to bring lots of rain all across the East Coast of the United States this weekend coming. And New Zealand got really, really hot weather in southern New Zealand today.
Oh my!
Their spring starts on September 23rd, and our fall starts on September 23rd.
Oh my gosh!
Anything else happening, Frankie?
And over in Japan, lots of rain and thunderstorms going on in Japan, Taiwan, and southern China, Hong Kong. A lot of thunderstorms and rain going on in Thailand, Philippines, Singapore, Indonesia, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, and all these countries. Monsoon season soon be coming to an end in India and Sri Lanka. As right now, still in the dry season for now. Mozambique, Madagascar, and La Reunion and Mauritius Islands still they be soon be in the rainy season there. In places like in England, they got hit by remnants of Hurricane Lee, as a post-tropical storm that's just hit England, brought high winds and heavy rain in England.
Thanks, Frankie. I appreciate that. So everyone knows how the weather is now.
Right now, it's cool outside in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Right now, a couple of weeks ago, last week, it was really humid in my area. And the week before that, it was really humid in my area, too.
I feel that, bro. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. So, Brian, you had a question?
I mean, wait, I'll jump in. But I don't think Frankie's done with his weather report.
And did you hear about this over? A lot of storms and rain going on in England right now. Then it got water coming from the United Kingdom too. Then it got Hurricane Nigel going to completely bypass Nova Scotia altogether later on this week on September 21st. It's going to completely bypass North America altogether. There's another low-pressure system headed towards eastern United States on September 22nd, 23rd. That's going to bring a whole lot of rain all across the east coast of the United States of America, like Carolinas, all the way up to New York City and Boston, all these places. And then down to Southern California, it's going to get warmer than average temperatures. Lots of storms going on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're gonna Brian continue this question about I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for coming on here. God bless you, William. All right, so Brian, what are you saying?
Cool. Yeah, so this is I wanted to address this to you, Eric, because I know you're a big fan of Tim Ballard there, and I like your stuff, by the way. Love your stuff, by the way. No, I think your stuff is pretty awesome, and you talk about a lot of good topics and share a lot of good information. But what I'm gonna get at is, you know, when I've dealt with this, I deal with a lot of recognizing symbolism, and I recognize demonic entities, and I recognize and I pray for people that are involved in secret organizations like, you know, Freemasonry and this kind of such. And I've seen a lot of dark stuff, a lot of evil stuff. And when it comes to the human trafficking thing, I think this movie, this Sound of Freedom thing, a lot of people don't really know what to believe. They're like, oh, you know, is it good? Is it bad? Oh, it's great. It's great. Let me bring something up to you guys about the DARE program. I think this is important to understand because the DARE program was responsible for talking about how bad drugs are, guys. Drugs are bad. Drugs are so bad. And it told everybody what drug dealers look like, and it told them what drugs look like. You know, it was single-handedly more responsible for getting more people involved in drugs than any single thing ever done in the United States. The DARE program, every kid that I went to school with, except for me, every single one of them fell to drugs. And like my entire graduating class, every program where the DARE program was instituted, the DARE program failed miserably by in getting people involved in drugs. Okay? Miserably. You want to know why? The reason why is because they don't show you the consequences. They taught kids what drugs look like, what drug dealers look like, what kind of things are going on. They didn't teach kids the consequences of what drugs are. Now, this Sound of Freedom movie, I think, does the same exact thing, to be completely honest. It doesn't share the consequences of what these children are going through. I know what these children have gone through. I've talked with them. I've dealt with people that have gone through these programs. Bro, it's not what they're talking about. And that stupid little movie is pathetic. Okay? If Tim Ballard wanted to be true, he would say what's really going on. What's really going on is they're chopping children up and eating them. Okay? And that sounds, and they don't put it in the movie. Why? Because they don't want it. They want you to think it's only about sex trafficking, guys. It's only about sex trafficking. That's not what's going on. If he wanted to be truthful, he would say what's really going on. And the children are being killed and murdered, not just being sex trafficked for funsies. Okay? And people think, oh, drugs are bad. I'm not going to do drugs. But then the DARE program, oh, but you know, it's not that bad. Maybe I might do some drugs. But then it gets into the same thing happens with this movie. They talk about human trafficking. Oh, it's bad, but it's not that bad. Look, the little girl at the end, she gets saved. And guess what? She gets her drum. And then she gets back and she's put back into her home playing her little drum. And she's like, oh, playing her little drum, being all happy. And like nothing ever happened. It doesn't share the consequences. The consequences of the dark, evil stuff that goes down. You don't get to see that. You get to think Tim Ballard's the hero who saves the day. Oh, yay, he saved the day from the human trafficking victim, and there's no consequences for that little girl. You don't know the kind of outfall that I deal with, that I've seen in people that have gone through this kind of stuff.
And
So it's
as for the weather,
disturbing.
as for South America's weather, it's supposed to be lots of thunderstorms of rain all across Venezuela and all across northern Brazil.
I don't know how we're gonna.
Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia. And southern Peru is going to be really dry. Lots of rain in Ecuador and Bolivia and all these places in northern Peru. And northern Chile is really, really, really dry desert
Awesome,
like there.
Frankie.
It's really dry in Brazil, as southern Brazil, and southern Chile and Argentina. It's pretty a lot of rain in coastal areas and snow up in the mountains in southern Chile.
Okay, so Frankie, you have something demonic in you, and I would pray it out of you right now, and you'd probably throw up. Like literally, I'm about to do it right now. If you want to get
If you
delivered
want
right
to
now
follow
on
me on
air, I'll
social
pray for
media,
you.
my Twitter is
My
Facebook
Do you want to deal with that? Because we'll go down right now, bro.
If-
Demon, whatever demon's in you right now. You want to deal with that? We
If
can
you
deal
want
with it.
if you want to follow me on social media, my Twitter's at
I mean,
Frankie
we can deal with the
my
demon
Facebook is-
inside of you, bro, because you've got a demon of rejection as a child because your parents actually rejected you quite a bit. And so I feel really bad for you. And I know that you don't have very many You don't have a lot of people that stuck around in your life. You have a lot of abandonment. I can see that on you. What else do you want to talk about? You want to talk about the relationship issues that you've gone through or didn't go through because of all the problems that you got? I mean, like, we can talk about the drug addiction that you've dealt with. You want to talk about that on air? Because we can talk about all the things that you got going on in your life, bro, because I don't mind praying for you right now if you really want to deal with that. I deal with demons like this all the time, buddy. Do you want healing? Do you want deliverance? Do you want freedom? Because, like, this is the authority of Christ. Do you want to deal with that, man?
Hey, guys, if you want to follow me on social media, my Twitter is @Frankie MacD. My Facebook is Frankie MacDonald. My Instagram is Frankie MacD984. My TikTok is FrankDonald984. My Clapper is FrankDonald984. My Twitch is FrankDonald984. My Snapchat is Frankie ABCDO. And my YouTube channel is Dogs Wolves. And my LinkedIn is Frankie Down. Best of luck to you. I'm Frankie Down. You're listening to Anthony Rogers Show.
Awesome.
Wow.
All right.
Have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye, demon.
Go ahead, Brian.
Okay. So, anyways, this is the kind of stuff I deal with demonic entities all the time, guys, but I have to deal with this kind of stuff all the time. Yeah, so demons like to interfere. It's kind of
So I guess specifically, what's the question?
What I'm saying is, I think this is something that you should address, is the fact that I don't think that this movie is good. I think if it was actually good, it wouldn't have made it to the theaters. I think this movie is doing what the DARE program did, and it's promoting human trafficking. And what do you want to bet? There's more people that went down to Mexico to look for what that stuff is after they watched that movie. What do you want to bet that increased human trafficking? Because that movie didn't show you the consequences. It didn't show you what was really going on and the kind of things that were really happening with these children.
Yeah, look, I understand where you're coming from. I try to look at things on a different. I try to see things like, well, how many people could it have saved that watched the movie that isn't going to get into pornography now? I don't know. Look, I don't want to. I get your opinion. I've seen it. I have friends that say the exact same thing. I'm kind of more concerned on what's happening right now. Are you kind of reading what's happening with the whole, like, everything that's coming out with OUR, and are you familiar with everything that's happened in the last couple of days?
I'm familiar with some of the things that just got exposed. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, that's the more.
What happened? What happened?
To me, I hope that he'll address a lot of this stuff. It's pretty gnarly stuff. So I'm kind of just waiting. I like to just watch and wait. As far as a fan, I think I try to look at the best in people, right? I try to see, like, okay, what is it that they're trying to do? Are they shining light on a darkness? But in the end, men are very corruptible.
Yep.
And
do you not think that this could be something subversive? Because I think it could be very definitely something that is, probably intentionally creating corruption.
Hey, you know what? At this point, 2023, nothing surprises me. Nothing surprises me. Nothing. Like, I cannot say definitive. My mind will change all the time. The things that I used to think even 3 years ago has changed to where it's like I'm looking at flat Earth stuff. I don't believe it, but it's like I'm looking at this stuff now. I'm like, what is? I almost want the Earth to be flat because it's like, yeah, we lied about that too.
I think that's the interesting part, because sometimes things that I think there's a lot of psyops going on. I think there's a lot of ops because it's like they know that once you start to realize that everything's a lie, and you're like, well, where is the line drawn?
Mm-hmm.
Like there is no, like, you're like, okay, suddenly this is true, this isn't true, this isn't true, and the Earth is flat. You know what? The Earth is flat. Like what? Like at this
son of a bitch! Yeah, I knew
it. To answer your question is this. This is why I'm trying to really, really find, and for me, I know this, I don't know if this will offend some of you, I'm trying to find Christ on a different next level, to just try to understand what is truth. I try to love people. I try to bring people to God, because in my opinion, even when I was a cop, they used to call me the preaching cop, some people at the homeless shelter, because I would try to I would say the only thing that's going to help you is Jesus Christ. Because I really believe that. To me, I believe that is the only answer to this. And Satan is so unbelievably good at all of the stuff. We're in his kingdom. We're in the devil's kingdom right now. And until we spiritually remove ourselves out, we won't be able to have eyes that see. What will not?
You got to walk in the kingdom of heaven, bro. That's what you got to do. And that's why Jesus says, if I cast out demons, by the finger of God, you know that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. You know that verse that says, it talks about, you know, it's harder for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of heaven than it is for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle. And everybody goes, oh, that means it's harder for it to go to heaven, guys. Oh, it's really difficult to go to heaven if you're rich. No, it has nothing to do with going to heaven when you die. The kingdom of heaven, Jesus said, is at hand. The kingdom of heaven is the authority to cast out demons. The kingdom of heaven is the authority to heal people. That's why Jesus, they said, Lord, how can we know who's a real Christian? You know, the Bible gives you a definition of what a Christian is. It's in Mark 16:17. It literally says these signs will follow those who believe. Number one, they will drive out demons. Number two, it says they'll speak in new tongues. It says they'll drink poisons that will not hurt them. They can pick up serpents and it will not hurt them. They'll lay their hands on sick people and they will get well. These signs are the definitive characteristic signs of what a Christian is. So when you want to walk in the authority of Christ, like this is what we do. We heal people by praying for them, by delivering them from demonic oppression, from drug addiction, from demonic entities, from all these type of things. And that's where the Christ love is. It's like, hey, look, you know, you want to spring the truth, you bring the truth. And when the truth gets interfered, we cast the demons out. And so that's kind of what I think the truth is going. Probably something you should look into, Eric, because I think you have an anointing to probably do that when you walk into it.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I in the next couple days, in the next couple weeks, we're gonna see some real stuff. And my mind is always subject to change. And I just want the truth. I try to search for the truth in whatever it is.
I get it. I do the same thing, man. Anyways, I just wanted to pop in, throw that out there, guys. I gotta take off.
Hey, Brian, I got a question. For you, Brian. Do you think the weather guy really has a demon in him, or was that just you like mad? Because do you think the weather guy actually has a demon?
No, like 100%. He has a demonic entity of rejection, and something rejected him. His family. He also had some obvious drug abuse stuff that he dealt with, but there's definitely a demonic entity of rejection that he's got to deal with, and it's probably oppressing him in a lot of ways. And it's probably not. It's not good. I feel bad for him. I'll pray for him if he wants me to pray for him.
Can you just see like demons in anybody like legit? Or?
Say what?
Can you see that in anybody? Can you see that in anybody?
You know, 99%.
Can you see demons like in anybody? Like you can just tell, or what?
Wait, do I have
like
one?
99% of people.
Oh, fair enough, probably.
And I'll tell you,
wasn't it Mary Magdalene that had 7 devils?
She had a few. There was a few different things, but that was another text. I think it wasn't directly.
Nice.
But yeah, there's a lot of different. Like most people have multiple demonic entities in them, and then I operate in what's called the discernment of spirits. It's a gift of the Spirit. It's a spirit of God. It's a spiritual gift that the Bible talks about, but a lot of people for some reason live in the time right now in the end times where it says they will have a form of godliness but deny the power. That's the world we walk in right now. So a lot of people don't believe in the power of God. That's why Paul said, it's not by clever words that I convince you, but by the power of God. Like I can sit here and have a conversation with people about stuff all the time, but when I pray for you and you throw up because a demon just left you, that's a whole nother level of belief right there. That's the power of God, moving through you. And so most people have demonic entities. It's pretty common.
Does anybody on screen have a demon?
Scream? Oh, anybody on the screen? Oh, if they wanted to ask and we wanted to have a conversation, I'm sure that would be a yes. Yeah. But that's normal. It's not that big a deal, honestly. Like demons oppress a lot of people all the time, and that's the freedom that Christ gives you. If you have sin in your life and you're giving into sin, you've got something demonic usually affecting you. I mean, if you're watching porn, if you're giving into lust, if you're giving into abuse, you're giving in anger, you've usually got something demonic attached to you. That's just the way it rolls, And
you have the power in the name of Christ to cast those out. It's like you have that power, and further, you have the power to invite holy angels to gather around you. It's really, really important that you say these things and you pray, because in my opinion, we're not even using the name of Christ properly. Everywhere Jesus went, he was casting out demons. I mean, he cast out.
It's like 1/3 of his.
Yeah, and so then you think, well, how many demons? Well, 1/3 of the host of heaven fell. 1/3 of the host of heaven fell with Satan, and that's billion spirits that are here that know you very well. They know your weaknesses. They know your problems. So that's why it's really, really important that we try to stay morally clean. And when we sin, we go to God and say, I'm sorry, and you will be cleansed. Like it's repentance. Jesus's first message was repentance.
Yes,
His very first message was repent. And it's not a bad thing to repent. Go to God and repent. We all, I guarantee you, 1, 2, 3, 4, all 5 of us are dealing with something. We all have problems. And that's what the young rich ruler he
Well, I crucify my flesh, and so I don't walk in sin.
Sure.
But it's something that we definitely like, when we're not walking in the authority of Christ, sin can overcome and overpower you.
And those demons, and one last thing, sorry, I believe those demons, the reason why they want our bodies so bad, the reason why they want us to sin, because that's how they feel. So those demons that went into the pigs, the swine that Jesus cast them in, they would rather be in pigs than anything. And so when we start going into some gross sin, that's when they can literally feel their addictions, right? They can feel what we're feeling. And so you got to get them out.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, thanks for having me on. Eric, you should follow me. We'll have a conversation.
Dude. Yeah. Somehow we'll have Anthony send my info or vice versa.
Deal. Alrighty, guys.
Cool.
Keep talking about all kinds of crazy.
Yeah, I have both your numbers out. Later on, Brian. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Anthony, you had
all right, back to the actual chat, guys. Is my mic working and stuff? Like, he kept saying more than stuff. Is it just coming in quick?
It's messed up. It's
yeah, let's get going. You cover a lot of these things. So. Oh, God. So, like, what kind of way? Like, delayed or something? Like, scratchy? Like, what kind of...
It just sounds, there's just something wrong with the sound.
Yeah, it's like it's peaking or something.
Yeah.
Okay. It's fucking weird. Okay.
There you go. Right there. That's good. That was much better.
That's probably better, right? I just took the mic off, yeah. All right,
much
sorry,
better.
Guys. Yeah, no. Okay, no, so, yeah, Ricardo does a bunch of speeches on sex trafficking, something like that. I think Eric's covered a lot of that stuff, and Kent's a comedian like I am and stuff, so I had a little lightheartedness to it. So what kind of stuff for Ricardo, like, carry it with your information, like you would?
Well, it's really interesting because Brian and Eric said some things that like really hit the nail, and I think that in most of my experiences so first of all, for the people that don't know me, I'm a Spanish interpreter and translator. I basically from 2017 to late 2020, I for some reason created a name in the Missouri area of being the interpreter for human trafficking victims. And one of the things that, if you know anything about interpreters, is that we're basically the voice of those people in order for you to understand it. And whenever you're the interpreter, for years you sign a lot of NDAs and you sign a lot of shit. And it's really difficult to for me in the beginning was really difficult to explain like what human trafficking was. And like Brian said something brilliant about them eating the kids and stuff like that. And that's actually one of the forms of trafficking, which is called organ trafficking. Personally, I don't have any experience in those cases. I know a couple feds and a couple friends who've worked those cases, so I can't say much about it. But I will tell you this: I got called one time by a 3-letter agency to to sit on an interrogation for a dude that was a known trafficker. And what he said really really sent chills up my spine, because I never forget it. When I walked in, I introduced myself, and then, I said it in English and in Spanish. And when they're talking to him, I never forget, they go, "Why are you doing this?" And he goes, "Well, this is no different than how you take puppies from the mother or how you slaughter cattle and no one cares." So the way he explained trafficking is they look at human beings as cattle. So what can you get out of cattle? You can get milk, you can use their skin, you can get meat, you can, get more cattle, you can, transport it, help them move stuff. So that's the way that they basically look at people. And it's a fucking inhumane way to look at them. And part of the problem with that is that a lot of people don't want to really open their eyes to how shitty human beings can be, right? And I'll give you an example. I think I told you this story a while back, Anthony, with the pedo guy that was taking Facebook pictures from people's profiles. And I got in to sit on that interrogation, and the first thing he says is, he's like, I'm not a monster. He's like, I just take people's profile pictures of their kids. They put it there. And here's the thing, man. When it comes to trafficking, you have to understand one thing. Like, over 80% of the cases that you'll run into is from family members. I'll use a notorious case that I did. It was a couple kids that they were being sold and trafficked by the mom and the dad just to get money. And when you sit down and you break that down, you know, you have to, like, really, at the end of the day, know thy neighbor, right? And Eric, you'll correct me if I'm wrong on this. I think that's part of the Bible, is know thy neighbor as you know thyself, I believe, or love thy neighbor.
It's love God first, and then love your neighbor as thyself.
Love thy neighbor.
Treat people. It's the golden rule.
Yes, thank you. So the problem that you run into this, right, is that we don't really follow the golden rule a lot of times. And I myself, I've been guilty of that too, where, like, I'll look at something, I go, whatever. But after those 3 years that I spent working those cases, man, like, you come to realize that you see things a little differently, you know? Like, you'll drive by and you'll see a kid walking by themselves, or you'll look at the way that someone's grabbing a kid, the way that the kid's interacting. And I hate to say this, man, but, like, most of my cases, it was females or kids. The majority of them were kids. So you have to understand that it's such a complex thing that the easiest thing that I can tell anyone, and to tell to your audience and to anybody here, is that just look around you. And I think everybody in here, you know, Kent, Eric, Anthony, I know you personally, like, everybody in here has a pretty good instinct of what something fucked up looks like, right? And it's the old saying, if it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, then goddamn it, Aflac. And the problem that I confront a lot of times when communicating these experiences to people is that they either want to take it apart and think it's something out of a movie, which Brian touched it upon earlier, like talking about the movie. Sometimes people just think, oh, that only happens in movies. The reality is no, like, a lot of those things happen in real life. And Brian even said something that Eric also caveated on, is that, you know, man, you don't really see the damage that these kids and these people go through, like permanent damage, that it's years and years and years and years of post-traumatic stress disorder, of nightmares, of relationship problems, trust issues. And unfortunately, I don't believe that we are set in our current society to be able to help those people effectively, or the community is also not set up in a way to be able to help those people effectively. And there lies, like, the big problem that I have when I communicate this to people, is just help each other out, you know, be kind to each other, and just look around. Because at the end of the day, if you look around, you're going to see it. It's more common than you think, you know?
Yeah, it turns out Jesus was right. It turns out,
who would have guessed?
just be good to people, right? And if you don't believe in God, it's like, okay, well, be good to people.
Yeah,
you know,
and this is the turnaround with that, right? Like, one of the reasons I stopped doing those cases was because I started to get angry enough that I was like, you know, I could really kill these motherfuckers. And, like, when that's a thought process that you have, which, again, it's not kind, that's when I think most people need to remove themselves from those situations and just teach or spread the knowledge of it, right? Spread the good word of it. But you also have to understand, man, like, you know, you can only take a beating for so much until you start to, like, either really get upset. But then at the end of the rainbow, you know, you kind of see the light, and you kind of, like, can talk about it. Like, it took me years. I know I've known you for over a year, Anthony. In the beginning, I barely talked about it. And now I'm comfortable enough that, you know, we're on the show with thousands of people watching, that it's like, it's a real thing, man. And, like, out of the hundreds of cases I did, like, it really, especially as a parent and as a husband, like it really opens your eyes up to a lot of shit that really puts you at like a different level, and not even like a good one either, you know? So hopefully that answers your question, Anthony.
Yeah. Do you mind if I say something real quick about that?
Absolutely, brother.
I think on a so I do, obviously I believe in God, and I believe that there's a Satan, like an opposition to it, like it just inevitably. And there's two kingdoms happening right now. There's a huge war. There's a huge spiritual war that's happening right now, and people can't even see it. And it's very symbolic. So for example, the mask, that mask was very symbolic. It was symbolic that you're going to shut your mouth. It was symbolic that you don't have an identity. It was symbolic that you're going to be controlled, right? So it had nothing to do with it. To me, it was a spiritual symbolism. The next thing was the solution. You know what I'm doing right here? You know, the V. It was a solution, but it wasn't God. And so many people turn to the false God thinking that's going to save them. And if you keep going down all of symbolic of the six, right? There's symbolism everywhere. So what I think's happening with these, the why somebody would eat flesh, I think that's the Satan's mimic, because Satan mimics God. And so remember how Jesus broke bread and he drank the wine, and the bread was represented to be the flesh, and the wine.
I understand what you're saying now. Yeah.
So this is Satan's mimic of the sacrament. And so it's really important that all this stuff is very symbolic. The same thing with the transgender stuff. And look, as I understand people that are watching, you might have family members that are going down this road, or you know, I love people. I'm not casting anyone to heaven or hell. I don't judge you to hell. But what I'm saying is this is very symbolic. God wants us to become like him, which is a full purpose of identity, a destiny, resurrected, so that we will be able to have procreation. We'll be able to procreate throughout eternity. That's what I believe. We literally can become like God because we are his seed. Like, we are literally the seed of God. We're not a tree. We're not an animal. We are children of God. And I can show you tons of Bible scriptures that will back that up. However, Satan, he wants us to become like him, which is no identity, no destiny, no gender. Satan doesn't have any body parts. And so that's why I believe this whole thing's happening with this whole trans thing, trying to get no gender, because he's literally getting people prepared for hell.
A lot of symbolism on TV too, with the behemoth stuff too. Like I've been seeing that a lot too, because I pay a lot of attention to like the symbolism of shit, right?
Yep.
It's
real.
That's another thing. Yeah, it's another
Very
thing that
real.
is like a lot of hand signals and a lot of stuff that I'm like, oh, that looks like this. So
yep.
It's crazy, man. How it is. But
And-
Anthony,
and-
does that answer your question? Oh, I'm sorry, Eric. Go ahead, brother. I didn't.
No,
mean
I was
to
just
step-
going to say heaven and hell is real, and we just need to repent and turn to God and say, hey, I'm sorry for this stuff I've done. And every day when we mess up, like, just get better and better. And that's when God, he'll cover us with the blood of Christ. That's how this works. Like, we are here for a reason. We are here to be tested. For any listener that's like, why am I even here on earth? This is a test to see if you are going to follow your conscience, right? So everybody's given these missions in life. Everybody, Anthony's given mission, Kent, Rich, we all have these missions that we're supposed to perform, and we all have gifts. We all have talents. It's like, follow that, and you will see why you were born. In my
That
opinion.
is the most beautiful thing that I have heard all day. And I got told that when I was very young, that I had an aptitude for languages, and here I am at 36. Like,
I'm
that is,
telling you, it's a
that's
gift,
beautiful.
dude. It's a gift.
Yeah.
But see, our purpose here on earth is that we're gonna cultivate ourselves. So here's a scripture, dude, that is so good. It's in Romans. It's in Romans chapter 8. And it tells us about our identity. And this is why it's really important that we become saved through Christ, because it says, the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are children of God, and if children, then heirs of God, and joint heirs with Christ, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be glorified together. And so, to me, this is the most important truth that you can realize, is that you're a child of God, and if you grow line upon line, Have you ever heard the term "an oak sleeps in the acorn"?
I have not.
Okay, so think about it. An oak tree, it sleeps in the acorn. So if an oak tree drops a seed in the ground, what does that acorn become like?
Eventually, like its parent.
The oak. Well, who are you? That's what I'm trying to tell you. You are a child of God.
Mm.
And if you know who you are, dude, that in the next life, like right now we can't become like that, but in the next life we can become like Jesus said. He's like, be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. And the word perfect literally means fully developed or completed. And so anyone listening that's kind of depressed, you have a lot of awesome stuff to look forward to, because you are born to become a king and a queen if you stay on that path.
That's fucking good. Like, that got me motivated.
It's true, man. It's true. Like that we're here to battle, man. We're here to battle for righteousness. I'm all about liberty, because liberty is the kingdom of God. That's why I don't care if you're in America. I don't care if you're a Canadian trucker. I don't care where you're at. If you're standing up for your God-given rights, dude, that's the kingdom of God. You do not give away your God-given rights. Those are, if you give them away physically, you also give them away spiritually. And that's,
your character dies.
What's that?
Your character goes away.
Your soul. That's how you lose your soul. Remember when you'd put that mask on for, like, if you go on an airplane, it was like you just felt so yucky. Like, I went on an airplane a couple times with the mask. I went to the hospital.
Never did that shit. I was like, fuck that.
Well, good for you, because I did, and I felt awful.
I did too. I argued.
I wore them in Korea in 2008. So in 2000,
I argued the hospitals ladies. They're like all overweight. After like all these fat ladies were just like, you need to wear a mask for your health. I'm like, you're fucking obese. I'm just like, I just like owned them in that conversation.
What's that old saying?
Like, you're literally like.
You ever look at him and go, this bitch.
It's awful. It's the hypocrisy, dude. The hypocrisy. You're gonna tell me about health? Oh my god.
They're healthy, Eric. What are you talking about? They're beautiful in their own skin. I can't.
It's a form of hell, dude. Slavery. Look, this whole communism is the most satanic. It's the devil's kingdom. Communism is the devil's kingdom, and we cannot allow it to happen. And if we allow it to happen, we're going to lose our souls. So do not give away your God-given rights. You know, why I'm so passionate about this. Here's my book, by the way, and you can read this for free. So I'm not trying to sell you a book. You can read my book online for free at ericmoutsos.com. And this is when, in 2014, I lost my gun and my badge because I didn't want to celebrate in my police uniform in the LGBT parade. And this is nothing against people that are gay. I don't believe that it's the proper order of heaven. In other words, I don't believe a man and a man can procreate forever, right? So that's why I don't believe in it. It's nothing against a man and a man that like each other. I don't care. It just goes against what I believe. So my police department wanted me to lead the gay parade in my uniform as part of the celebration, and I said it goes against my conscience. I can't do it. And they took my badge and my gun for discrimination. And since then, and so that's what my story's about. And so since then, I've been trying to teach people, like, do not ever bow down. Don't ever go against your conscience.
Eric, we got to have you on the show. We got to talk. I just downloaded the book.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can read it there on, you can get it on Amazon. You can get it at my company, which is freedomblends.com. You can get an actual hard, or, a copy of it. But, I was calling out a lot of stuff with police quotas. I mean, the law enforcement industry, there's some good sheriffs out there, good elected representatives. But if these big cities, dude, they got some problems. And I still back the blue, right? Because we need cops. We do. Mm-hmm. But the whole system's messed up, man.
Eric, I got a question for you, Anthony, if you don't mind, before we talk about that. Do you mind for a real quick minute? He's giving me the silent treatment there. Can you hear me, Anthony? Oh, yeah, Anthony, can you hear me? Oh yeah, I just had a question for Eric about that. Eric, do you, and I come from prior law enforcement too, do you think that, obviously we know that there's a lot of issues, right? We know there's a lot of issues with law enforcement. do you think that training is about 50% more or less of the issues that we have?
What do you mean? Like, be more specific.
So my question would be, do you think that cops could utilize more training in areas of law and of de-escalation? Because that's a
for
question I
sure.
always like to ask.
Look, to me, the biggest problem, one of the biggest problems we have in law enforcement is that we have this pressure for cops to go out and drum up business, right? So when you have, that's how cops are rated, is on their stats, right? So
Mhm.
how many arrests do you have? How many tickets do you have? How many so when you're a rookie and you're going out and, you know, getting names and kicking you think that's what's supposed to be happening, when in reality you're drumming up business.
Yeah.
Literally, that's so when you got a white officer posted up in a minority neighborhood, but he has to hit a certain number of, whether it's tickets or whether it's contacts or whether it's drug arrests.
I've heard that called the easy peasy zone in some states, by the way. Some
Yeah,
cops that
so
I talked
we
to,
had that. We had quotas at Salt Lake City Police. They wanted us to arrest 5 people per day, and I was like, like no, like what? And so they put a number on it, and when they put a number on it, I had a big problem with that, because it's like I am a law enforcement officer, and I have discretion. And so to me, and the reason why they do this is twofold. They don't have any other way to judge somebody, right? And so they just think stats are the way to do it, and they think by how many tickets you produce that makes you a good cop, when in reality what makes you a good cop is how you're treating people and how you're responding and how you're serving the community. That's the truth.
That's a good way to put the problems with the evaluation system. I'll have to get with you and sit down and talk about more stuff.
Really quick, and then I'll be done. At the end of the year, they turn in the stats to the federal government, and the feds then give grants to these local agencies, so they have to look like they're busy. It's a racket, dude.
Just legal.
It's a racket, and it needs to stop.
Yeah. Anthony, you had something for me, brother?
I didn't say anything. I was just listening, man. Like, I probably do need to get out of there, but I'll talk like 9 more hours. I mean, you guys are fucking awesome, man. I appreciate you guys doing all
Thank
your
you,
stuff, man. Like, it's cool.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks so much for having us on.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah,
Anthony.
we'll do it again for sure.
You've always been pretty good to me and my people, man. So I appreciate you a lot, brother.
No, likewise. Thanks for coming on, guys. Appreciate it. Any links or anything you want to throw on before we get on here? Probably wanted it on an hour. Like, you guys got any plugs you want to throw on?
Yeah. Eric, do you want to go first, or Kent, do you want to go
No,
first?
I'm good. I appreciate it. You guys have a great night.
Good meeting you.
See you later.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, you too, bro. Thanks again, man.
Take it easy. I got a roast battle on Friday here in Lincoln, Nebraska, and my opponent backed out, so I'm just going to do 10 minutes. That's all I got.
Guys, take it easy, Anthony. Everybody, you can follow me on Instagram at language_ninja and at Richard Aviles. God bless everybody. Ken, it's nice knowing you. We got to trade some contact info, brother.
For sure.
Yeah.
That was just me.